when I wasn't paying attention.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Vikings First and SKOL. I'm Sally here with a Victory Tuesday edition of Skoldiers and Spice. And thank God it has been a hot minute since we have had one of those. The Vikings pulled off a much needed, hard fought win on Sunday Night Football against the Indianapolis Colts. And while it was not pretty, they got the job done. So I guess that's the important thing, right? But Dave is here with me tonight. We are going to break down the win against the Colts, get some key takeaways, and discuss what the Vikings need to do to maintain this going into their tough 3-game road stretch that is coming up. And if Election Day isn't enough excitement for one day, the NFL trade deadline also just wrapped up this afternoon. So we're going to chat about that a little bit as well. Let's get into it. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Sal. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I see you got the newest one up on your lap.
Yes, we have Drew. I was just telling you before we started, should I go put them in the crate? I don't know. They're being a little noisy. And then we were like, well, the people love the dogs. So here they are. Or here she is anyways. But little Miss Drew, she's getting spayed tomorrow. So we'll have to treat her tonight when we get off of here.
Okay. That's smart pet ownership.
Yes, for sure. But okay, lots to discuss with the Vikings. This is the first game this season that I did not predict a win, and I was wrong, and I'm thrilled that I was wrong. But the first half, though, it did look a little dicey.
It did. And it's not because the defense looked that way. Even the offense looked competent until they didn't turn over the football. But it was not the typical, 2 drives, 2 scores.
Yeah, absolutely. They had the turnovers, obviously the 2 picks by Sam Darnold, the strip sack, which what do we got to do to get our guy Sam Darnold some ref treatment, at least them paying any attention to his head whatsoever? Do they even know he has a head?
Well, he's not Patrick Mahomes, so they're not going to give him, the benefit of the doubt. It's the whole poor officiating. He was obviously clubbed in the head, which is a penalty. It's a hit to the head. And we were looking for the face mask, and we didn't see it. It's frustrating. The officiating's bad this season for calls, and especially against Sam Darnold. I guess he's a free hit to any defense we play.
It is very frustrating. And I saw on Twitter a little bit when the game first started that people were saying, I don't remember what call it was early on, but they were saying, oh, they're going to give some makeup calls for the call that they blew last Thursday against the Rams. And it's like, well, no, actually, they're going to not call something very similar. So that was frustrating. Speaking, though, of Sam Darnold's head, it is National Redhead Day. So we're going to show him a little bit of love here on Skoldiers and Spice. We love gingers here. So hope he's having a great day.
Okay. Good for him.
Yes, good for him. Let me see here. I saw that Chris asked how the generator fared at the tailgate. It was great. It was so good. We got to have our taco bar. It didn't rain as much as it was supposed to, thankfully, but it was still kind of a wet, nasty day. But generator all worked out. I didn't even have to use the cover that I ordered on Amazon Prime. So thank you so much for asking.
Good.
Yeah, for sure. I was stressed about that, so I'm glad that worked itself out. But okay, so it was pretty surprising to me. I mean, if you were to look at the stat sheet and you saw that they had 415 yards of offense, to only come away with 21 points is not a good look.
It's not. Well, On the first interception, I thought, oh, there goes Sam's one bad play game. And then we had the strip sack fumble for the 7 points, 6 points that shouldn't have been. And if you take that and you go, well, if you take that away and it's a 15 yards penalty for the Vikings, they're closer. Hopefully they score. Or if you take our 2 missed field goals, we score. There's all sorts of, there was more points out there that we can say should have been ours than, but we didn't need them in the long run, so it didn't matter. But the potential is still there. This team is good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if they were playing a different team, maybe those self-inflicted things would not have worked out if they were playing a better team. I know I personally gave the Colts, I think, a little bit more credit than maybe they deserve just for the way that they were winning close games. But yeah, I mean, the missed kick, we're going to talk about the injury to Will Reichard in a second here. But when I saw them, when they missed those kicks, especially when they came out and missed the 31-yarder, and they weren't making the calls against Sam Darnold, I'm just sitting there in the stadium thinking, okay, here we go. This is just going to be one of those games. It's one of those primetime games that was flexed. It's going to be embarrassing. I'm so happy that I was wrong about that. But what were your thoughts after that second missed kick?
Well, by that time, on the TV broadcast, they'd already hinted that he was injured, and they'd shown him on the sideline with a heating pad around his quad.
Oh, okay.
So, and by the time I was wondering how badly he was injured, he had a quad injury while he was at Alabama, I think his freshman year or something, and he kept him out most of the time. And then, of course, he came back, and the next few years he set the record. There's makes you worry, but to me, wondered how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a tear, just to my eyes and ears, and what I've read, to his quad muscle, and it's just going to take time to heal, and that's why they stuck him on IR today. And they brought in the Romo kid that was his competition during the summer.
Yeah, and I remember you're gonna have to refresh my memory on that because I actually missed that even happened until I just saw it in the chat. I knew that they were considering it, and I knew that they put long snapper on IR, on short-term IR. But was it much of a competition in camp? I mean, obviously
No.
not since he was a draft pick, but how did he perform in camp?
He performed like a normal kicker.
Okay. Okay. So that's not going to be a strength of ours going forward, at least for a little while until Will comes back, which is not ideal.
Right. I think Will Reichard is one of those aberrations that we're lucky we got, and everybody who's got Vikings PTSD always worries about that left shoe falling. And some people are saying, see, he hurt his quad. But I think we're going to have him for a long time, and I think he's going to be great. So I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, those tweets were annoying me as well. People were saying, "Oh, see, this is why you don't draft specialists." And I've been in that camp for sure in the past. I've changed my stance on that. I think that they're also reflecting on the Daniel Carlson very, very brief era that was here, which I don't know. I don't know why Zimmer didn't get roasted extensively for that decision, because I thought that it was far too harsh to do to a kid in, like, what was that, week 3? Week 2.
But you missed 3 field goals against your dreaded rival.
I get it. But I mean, he was what, a 6th-round draft pick. And look, he's doing well now. But anyways, that's the past. I did see people making that comparison though, and that was frustrating. But that was something that the Vikings could count on this year: consistency, a strength of theirs that in years in past, for almost as long as we can remember, was not the case. Well, since Ryan Longwell, at least, I would say. Blair Walsh the first 2 seasons or so, but that changed quickly and really took a turn there pretty dramatically. But the same thing kind of with the offensive line. That has been something the last few years, that while it isn't the best in the league, at least there was consistency, and they weren't having to do the whole musical chairs bit that they had done for several years before that. And now going into Christian Darrisaw's injury, they had Cam Robinson come in, and I thought that he did a really good job for his first game.
Mm-hmm. I thought so too.
The struggles with the offensive line was the interior, which Kevin O'Connell even called out going into half, which I was surprised.
But that is the weakness. Now, whether it's because Bradbury, Brandel, Ingram aren't as good as normal or as we'd like, I think they're fine overall. They're fine. And people complain, you got to get rid of Ingram. You got to get rid of Bradbury. You need better guard. You need a better center. There's nothing that's going to happen this season. We got to live with what we have, and that's the best setup so far that we have. It is what it is. I think Kwesi's money, as Tyler puts it, money balling those positions so that they can spend elsewhere, and because the whole interior costs like $9 million. So it's a sound decision, I think. And as long as they don't give up too much, which I don't think they have, we'll be fine.
I agree. I see some people in the chat that are frustrated that the Vikings didn't make any big moves today. Was it Maddie that said that? No, but Maddie did bring the penalties, that they cleaned those up. And I am so thrilled about that. I mean, that was just embarrassing pretty much all season, the pre-snap penalties. And they cut the penalties down to 3 this week, which was a huge improvement.
One of them was 12 men on the defense again, unfortunately.
Yes.
And they saw Flores screaming at him for that.
Yeah, I was really happy. I'm sure everybody's happy. I don't know why I keep saying it like that, but the last 2 games, people were losing faith in the Flores thing. Did he get sniffed out? I was really impressed with the way that they bounced back this game and played against Joe Flacco and the Colts, especially with as good as their offensive line is. Flacco really never got anything going at all. I felt he had a lot of time in the pocket, a lot of his protection held up until that very last drive at the end. But he didn't have much success at all.
No, they allowed him 6 points total. Didn't allow him into the red zone. They kept the third down conversions down to next to nothing. That is a brilliant game by our defense. And our defense, DVOA wise, if you're in a deep end analytics, is number 1 and has been practically all season. And if the offense plays well, and with the number 1 defense, we're going to the playoffs, and we should do well.
Absolutely. I was so happy to see that Byron Murphy had that pick towards the end of the game that pretty much sealed for them that they weren't going to be able to come back. I personally was worried about Joe Flacco. I don't care that he was 39 years old. I was worried about the offensive line. And because, like I said, they've been able to come back and win those close games. And I don't know. I was with the way the first half went, but they redeemed themselves. Sam Darnold redeemed himself in the second half, which was a huge relief because it was just he's had a lot of plays or passes that could have been picked off throughout this season that were great, opportunities that were missed by the opponents. But I was wondering, he's had these 3 turnovers. Is he going to be able to get out of his head and redeem himself? Especially because you could tell that KOC was very frustrated with him going into the locker room, which my feeling on that is previously it pretty much seems like KOC just has Sam's back all the time and does not criticize him, but you could tell that he was not pleased. So I was concerned if he was going to be able to shake that off, and he did.
He did. And you want KOC to have the quarterback's back, at least publicly.
Oh, for sure.
And that he will. And KOC's gift or talent is to get in the quarterback's head and make them play better. So I'm going to let that roll the way it is right now because he seems to do that, whether it be with Kirk Cousins or now with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, that is his biggest gift, I think, is how he's been able to bring these quarterbacks to another level. I mean, even Josh Dobbs, yes, it didn't last very long, but he was able to establish a game plan for Josh Dobbs that worked for him. And I think we've talked about this a lot, how with Kevin O'Connell, I think it has so much to do with the confidence that he gives these guys who come from backgrounds. Dolly is digging herself a bed. I don't know if you guys can hear. It's pretty loud for me. So, but that is when you got a guy like Sam Darnold who's been through what he's been through. The only way he's going to be successful is if he has a coach that believes in him, like Kevin O'Connell does. So, I was really happy to see him shake that off, get the ghosts out of US Bank Stadium, which it was actually very foggy in there, very foggy the entire game. So.
Wow.
I don't know what was up with that, but it was kind of frustrating.
Maybe they had an environmental system malfunction or something.
Oh, I think it was because the night game they were doing like light shows and stuff,
Okay.
and I think also they put it in there so like the lighting is not bouncing off the glass and stuff. But it was very, very smoky in there.
Interesting. Hey, I want to say hello to some people that have popped on.
Yeah. Yes, let's say hi.
Christopher, Chris, Biggs, Too Evil to Hope, Frankenheim. Also, who popped in earlier, I saw Tim Lyons. Tim Lyons is a fellow Fans First Sports Network contributor. And if you look at his avatar, you can see what team he contributes to. He's a regular over on the Who Will Be King show in the chat. But he's I want to welcome him. Glad he came over and watched tonight. That's cool.
Yes, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in, and for everybody for tuning in. You guys know I'm still learning this chat thing. I got to get a bigger font. I think that's what I need. I'm like a grandma over here, like doing. But I saw someone say Sal's dog is better than Bradbury. You know, I don't know if I'd give her that much credit. She's a little clumsy, but I don't know. She's pretty stocky. She kind of has an offensive lineman's body type.
Yep.
So we could get her to try out. Maybe she could make the practice squad and work on her skills.
Speaking of which, we had a practice squatter poached today.
Oh, who?
One of our guards. I forgot his name already. It's no big deal. He got poached by the Patriots, and they need offensive line help. So, and he's so far down on the roster that I don't remember his name, and that's way down there because I know most everybody.
Yeah. Okay. I see a lot of people talking about the Lions in the chat today, and the Lions did make a trade for Zadarius Smith, former Viking, and not current, but he went to the Browns after that. I see I don't know. I think that's a great move for them with their loss to Aiden Hutchinson. I think that was a really smart thing for them to do. But Zadarius has just been playing rotationally. I don't know how much of a difference that he's going to make. But with the Lions and where they're at right now, I think it was a good move for them. And I'm happy that we don't play them again until week 18.
It's going to be interesting. He's got quote 2 revenge games now. He'll have a revenge game week 18 against us and a revenge game against the Packers when they play the Packers the second time.
I love the revenge game narrative. It's one of my favorites. Hi, Tyler. See, Tyler Fornes is in here.
Yeah, he corrected me. He goes, Tyrese Robinson was the guard that was poached.
Oh, okay.
And he's giving me a hard time because I'm the, round belly guy, and I forgot a round belly.
Well, speaking of the Lions and the Packers, that was a dominant victory by the Lions on Sunday. It was, we had it on at the tailgate, and it was crazy. I know we were supposed to root for Green Bay. Everyone was trying to, I understand the logic. I just can't do it.
I can't do it either. I have 2 favorite teams. The Vikings, obviously, number 1, and number 2 is whoever's playing the Packers. I understand the logic about, well, Dave, if the Lions lose, that gives us a better chance of winning the division, yada, yada. And I'm like, no, doesn't care. As long as the Packers lose. I want to see the Packers being so bad they're playing games back in Milwaukee.
Oh my god. Yeah, it was
You're too young
exactly.
to remember when they played games in Milwaukee.
I don't know. When did that stop? Because I've always known that that happened,
Favre.
but I don't know. Oh, they
Favre.
still didn't they play, like, a couple games there a year?
Well, maybe, but it was the Favre era that changed it, and they started
Oh.
filling Lambeau Field again. Before
Oh,
that, they
okay.
couldn't, so they play half the home games in Milwaukee.
Fair weather. You hate to see that.
I thought it was great.
Oh, yeah, for sure, but, I don't know, were they owners back then? Did they
Yes.
have their Oh, they were?
Mhm.
Oh,
It's still the same, setup. They've been the whole time. They've been there. The city owns the team. Now the whole fake stock stuff, I don't know when that actually kicked in, but it's a publicly owned franchise. It's the only one in the league, and it's been that way since the beginning. But it was just, they were so bad after their Super Bowl runs, early Super Bowls. They tanked, and Lombardi had left. He went to go coach for Washington, and they went down the tubes, and they couldn't keep anybody. They'd have a few pop up. Hey, this guy's decent, but yeah, not until they got Favre.
yeah, well, and now they've had, 2 decades at least of great quarterback play, so
3 actually, but yeah,
yeah, I guess
and
it is 3.
hopefully. But speaking of yesterday's game, Love threw the most beautiful pick six I have ever seen.
Yes. Yes, we were watching it in the tailgate tent. Like I said, people were having conflicting views of who we should be rooting for. And she's like, "How can you not cheer for that? How can you not?" It was great. It was great.
Destroy the man's confidence, please. Mhm.
And I mean, the weather there was atrocious. I'm so happy that that missed us because I think it was supposed to be our forecast, and that would have made the tailgate even less more of a damper on it. We would not have probably had that generator going like we talked about earlier. But I see that Too Evil Too Hope is asking about if anyone heard Packers vent line, and that is my absolute favorite thing to do. But I did not have the opportunity, unfortunately. I should see if you can podcast that.
That's a great question, and I did not either. Even on listening to Purple Daily, I missed that episode where they do it. They usually get one of the Milwaukee stations or something like that to do it.
Yeah, I podcasted them earlier, and I didn't get that far into it yet. But yeah, the Green Bay local one is the one that I listen to, and the it's pure gold. If people have never listened to it in here, you absolutely have to, especially after a playoff loss. It's rich.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of, oh, go ahead.
Well, I was about to say, Barber's calling for 15-2.
15-2. I like it.
I do too.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're going into a 3-game road stretch now, starting in Jacksonville. Then I personally am not that concerned about them playing on the road. I think I obviously you don't want to be playing on the road. That's not ideal. And three games in a row, not ideal for several reasons. For my selfish reasons, it's a whole month gap again between I get to be with all my people, my friends, my tailgate. And we've had 2 of those now, 2 full month gaps between home games. But I personally am not super concerned about this road stretch. I think that they really needed this game to get some confidence back, especially with the defense, get that chemistry back. Jordan Addison, great to see him worked into the game plan more. Hopefully that's going to right whatever was going on there. I did hear that Jordan Addison's dad was roasting Sam Darnold on Twitter.
He did.
Which
he wasn't the only one. Hey, it was basically when you look downfield and Justin Jefferson's covered by 4 different defenders.
Yes.
Jordan's open.
Right. Yeah. He was forced. He does that. He does that. He gets the tunnel vision and he doesn't look around, but I'm glad that he at least got him the ball some. You want to see him get more yards in that, but he has to feel good that he's at least being incorporated more. It was great to have It was great to have Hawkinson back and get him involved right away. I think that took away a lot of anxiety about is the chemistry going to be there? Is he going to need some time to warm up and get situated in this offense? And it certainly didn't look like it. So that was good. And I personally loved seeing Cam Akers worked in as much as he did, and no Ty Chandler. I was a big fan of that.
And now I said over the weekend and a week ago that most likely Chandler is going to be RB2 now. Or not Chandler, but Akers. And people are like, no, Dave, he's not going to be. Oh, yeah, he is. And then I saw an article this morning on the competitors' blog site saying, oh, young running back gets, disrespected and he's benched, referring to Ty Chandler. And I'm like, really? I don't think so. I think Ty Chandler had plenty of opportunities to prove himself. He did not prove himself. And speaking of young, did you know that Cam Akers is a year younger than Ty Chandler?
I had no idea.
Yeah, Cam Akers is 25 and Ty Chandler is 26.
I guess it just feels like Cam Akers has been in the league for so much longer. Obviously, he was a running back, not.
Yeah, because he came out when he was like 20.
Wow. I love seeing him get involved more. I mean, but on the Ty Chandler point, how can you disrespect somebody who was never really respected in the first place? I'm not trying to be mean, but what has he ever contributed to earn the respect?
He's had a few good, runs and whatever, but he's never embraced that RB2 role. And we're always looking for somebody to embrace that RB2 role. And I mean, he's done okay, but nothing great.
Yeah.
He wasn't getting consistent yards like Akers was on Sunday.
No. And good to see him get incorporated in the pass game as well. I think he only had like 7 yards, but I like that they were trying it. And yeah. Okay, well, we have 72 people in here, which is great. You guys, thank you for listening or watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. That would be much, much appreciated.
Now, where Ty Chandler needs to make his name is on special teams.
Oh,
because he's one of the returners.
Yes, that would be great, and then maybe he can gain some respect back.
Yeah, like Kene used to. Yes.
I was still so he was the one I was the most surprised that they parted ways with in training camp. I did not see that one coming. But he on a practice squad somewhere? He's not on an actual roster, is he?
I think he's on a practice squad. I think somebody signed him.
David says, Dave, I'm sorry, the show had a big upgrade tonight. Not sure what he's referring to, but
he's referring to my host looks a heck of a lot better than either one of the other ones do. That's what he's referring to. It's a compliment.
Well, and I appreciate the compliment on National Redheads Day for sure. Thanks. Okay, Bob is drunk on election night. Congratulations.
It's a way to deal with it, Bob. I'm joining you here shortly.
Yeah, I think I saw Dave taking some shots, actually. What are you sipping?
Tequila.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were a tequila guy.
Oh, yeah. I like good tequila.
I guess I don't know. I guess if I had to guess, I'd think you were like a bourbon or a whiskey guy.
I'm a very much a whiskey guy. But every once in a while I switch it up with tequila. I discovered my love of tequila. Part of where I grew up was New Mexico. That's where I went to senior year of high school and then college. So I had plenty of tequila, but it was always the cheap type. Type with a worm and stuff like that. They've gotten so much better. But it was I was on a R&R about 10 years, a little over 10, 12 years ago. And they had a tequila tasting event. And you paid so many dollars and you got 7 shots. And you first off learn that good tequila, you don't do as shots. You sip it just like you would a whiskey straight, right? You smell, taste, the whole works. and you sip it.
Room temperature or cold?
No, room
Oh,
temperature. And
wow.
went through this, and I had buddied up with the bartenders because, that's the thing to do. And we get through and we do the 7, and this is, and we went from, this is añejo, this is that, blah, blah, blah. And we went through, and they keep getting better in quality. And then at the end, everybody leaves, and he goes, hold on, I got 2 more shots for you. And he pulls out 1 bottle and pours it, and he goes, here, try this. And I'm like, oh, this is smooth. That's great. He goes, that's a $200 shot.
Oh.
And I go, really? And he goes, wait, you try this. And he goes, that's a $450, $500 shot. And it was heavenly. And of course, by that time, I'm half lit. But it was wonderful. That's why you make friends with bartenders when you go out on events.
Okay, I find it hard, and I've never been in that situation, but I find it hard to believe that a $500 shot can really taste that much different than a $10 shot. I've never understood this.
There is differences. It's how much do you appreciate the differences. There's I'm trying to remember the name of a brand. I can't afford the real high dollar stuff, but there is stuff that you're paying like $1,200 a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, and if you divide that by the shots, it's coming out. And if you're pouring it at a bar, you're making a profit. So you're doing it that way. I can't see paying $1,000 for a bottle of whiskey. However, there's Redbreast 27 that I would love to have if anybody wants to send me one. It's it runs about $998 for a 750 milliliter bottle.
Okay, we'll have to get a Vikings First and SKOL wish list set up.
But I've learned to appreciate finer things in life, and even if they're rare, an occurrence, it's nice to sample and have good things every once in a while. It brightens things up.
Hey, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't try it. It blows my mind. Okay, wait, who said, I'm losing it now? Like I said, I can't see, but somebody said that you discovered that you're half Mexican.
No, I do. I grew up in New Mexico, so I love New Mexican food and Mexcal and all the whole works. It's wonderful. And Raymond, I do not like everything. I can be a little picky.
Okay, well, Too Evil, Too Hope said that Dave should try Four Loko.
Okay, haven't heard it, but
okay, Four Loko. Oh my God, it's the absolute worst. Okay, so it's like a combination of an energy drink and a malt beverage. Yeah. However, back when I was like in high school, early 20s, it used to be insane. Like it was like 13% alcohol plus like 5 Red Bulls in one can. So it was very dangerous because you would be like blackout. You'd be like blackout drunk, but you would be wide awake. So you wouldn't remember anything. Well, they
give me a heart attack.
Yes. But they ended up making, like, the government made them change the ingredients because it was way too much. It was so toxic. So if it was the old Four Loko, I would say yes, you have to try it just to say you did it once. But now, it tastes disgusting. It's not worth it.
Well, see, what you drink for your favorite, I think, tastes blah.
What's my favorite?
Well, your seltzer.
Oh, You see, I don't necessarily have a favorite seltzer. I don't really discriminate. I really don't.
And then there's Scottish Bear chiming in, asking me how I'm doing. I'm doing fine. Now, the Scots can make some whiskey.
Who can make whiskey?
The Scottish.
Oh, Scottish. Oh, okay. Okay.
As in Scotch.
Yeah.
That's where it's made. It comes from. They have it down pat. And it's the smoked malts and how much smoke you like or can handle. There are, and the different areas of Scotland have different flavors, and it's all comes from the peat and the oats they use, the malts, and it's just it can make some beautiful, wonderful stuff. But I think Ireland can too, and the U.S. Whiskeys across the world all have their unique flavors. I would love to try a Japanese whiskey, and I have not tried one yet. And there's some supposedly very, very good Japanese whiskeys. And I'd try one from Australia or something. It would be interesting.
I've got a lot to learn. I'm not cultured at all when it comes to alcohol. I got to step it up. And you were giving me this eggnog recipe that your grandfather
Yes.
made. So I'm going to make that. That's where I'm going to start with my alcohol maturity journey.
All right, you do that. And the recipe is 4 Roses eggnog. And if anybody who says they don't like eggnog, you make them 4 Roses and let them try it. And I'll bet they'll change their minds.
All right. Well, challenge
Because
accepted.
it's real eggnog. It's not bought out of a carton.
I even like the carton eggnog, so I'm excited to see the difference. Like I said, I don't really discriminate. I don't have these high standards. Maybe I should. Maybe that's what's wrong with my life. Oh, Chris Thompson says that he thinks I have real war stories on Four Loko. And Maddie said that I won't tell. Here's the thing. I absolutely will tell you guys anything you want to know about pretty much anything, even especially Four Loko. I just don't know if this is the the platform tonight for it. We can do a special report in the off season on my war stories if you guys want.
Yeah, but this is a Vikings lifestyle show.
Oh, for sure. Yes, for sure. But if I go into all that right now, we're really going to go off we're really going to go off the rails. We should save that for a slow news week.
Well, and just think Bob started it all because he says he's getting drunk on election night.
Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah, it could be a late night, so I hope he can stay up late.
Oh, okay. I think it's going to be more than late night.
Cause and Effect wants to know if we are disappointed the Vikings did not make anything else happen before the deadline. I personally was not, because I did not think that it was feasible that they would. I know a lot of people wanted Dexter Lawrence was the big name that people kept throwing out, and there were some other big names. I just didn't see how they were going to be able to make that happen. So I certainly was not surprised. But what did you think?
I warned everybody yesterday, I think it was, that first off, tell yourself that no trades will be done. And if there is one, be pleasantly surprised. Yes, we all wanted Sexy Dexy or Jeffrey Simmons, but to have a successful trade, you needed a partner that would say yes. And even though Kwesi, I'm sure, called on those 2 players and others, J.C. Horn and whoever else, Odazigwa, whatever his name is down in Dallas. But you got to have the other team say yes. And I didn't expect that to happen, so it didn't.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I mean, especially after the Cam Robinson trade last week, which we know that they didn't give up too much for that, but I just kind of figured that they were done after that. I agree. I'm sure he did make some calls. I think, though, everyone I think is in agreement with the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones absolutely just blowing it today. And I would rather them stay where they're at. And I don't think Kwesi would ever be stupid enough to make the move that Dallas made today for a wide receiver, Jonathan Mingo, 19 career games and 12 catches he's ever even had, for a 4th round pick.
Hey.
And that's not Dallas's problem.
Mm-hmm. And
What?
I have a real good friend that's a Cowboys fan and is as deep into it as we are in the Vikings. And what surprised him was that he expected them to trade Micah Parsons,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't happen. And I asked him about Mingo, and to quote, he said, I asked, is Mingo going to change anything? And he says, of course. He'll take up one more of the commodes in the locker room.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's genius.
And that's
about it.
the
Yeah.
Cowboys they're in hurting status. And Dak is going to IR.
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel like this is their story every year, though. They always have all this hype going into the season. It never lives up to the hype ever. And I don't know. I'm so happy that we don't have like a meddling owner like Jerry Jones. I don't know how Cowboys fans even deal with this anymore after decades and decades of this. I love that the Wilfs are at the point where they just trust the front office to figure it out.
Yep. Hey, it is what it is.
Yes. Okay. So, what do you think the Vikings need to focus on going into this week against Jacksonville? Somebody did ask in the chat if anyone was going to Jacksonville. I am not, and I am extremely depressed about it because that was the one away game that I wanted to go to this year. So, if you are going,
to sit in a swimming pool.
I did, and I didn't. I waited too long to set that trip up. So I'm really bummed about that. Like I said, it might be the last opportunity. They never play in that stadium again.
Yep. Hey, yeah, because they're going to redo the stadium. So,
But if anyone here is going, please report back. Give me a full book report with photos and everything else. So I want to live vicariously through you.
But I think Jags they're one of the worst teams in the league. So yes. I am not worried about this game.
No, I'm not really either. And I don't want to completely look over it. But I thought going into this season that the Jags would potentially win that division and maybe look a little bit like they did in that AFC Championship season where they had the appearance. And it just isn't happening for them. Trevor Lawrence hasn't really looked the same since that season. So I can see the defense having a good day against him for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think Flores is going to mess with his mind like it's never been messed with before.
Oh, man. Poor guy.
You know, Flacco was having a hard time, and Flacco's been in the league since, Pop Warner himself started football. So it's B-Flow is doing some marvelous stuff, and it's the illusion of pressure, whatever you want to call it. He literally is psychologically manipulating opposing quarterbacks at what they're seeing. And it's a marvelous technique, and I hope it continues and rolls us right through the playoffs.
I hope that he figures out how to do it to Jared Goff.
That would be nice. But he's playing MVP level football.
He is so much. I hated how they came out, though, in their press conference, both him and Dan Campbell, and we're the team that can't play outdoors. And they played into that whole bit. And it's like, come on.
Well, they only have 3 games this entire season outdoors.
Yeah. Yeah, but is it that big of a... Yeah, that was one of them. I don't know why people are always
and the
so
Bears
hyped
is
on
one, and then there's another one.
Okay, do you think Flores learned from the Rams in the Lions game? I think that he did, absolutely. I think Brian Flores is a guy that's always learning, not afraid to make adjustments and admit when something isn't working, unlike our predecessor, Mike Zimmer, who would absolutely never make a single adjustment ever.
Mike made a few, but they were rare.
Oh, they were rare, and he certainly would never say that they were his fault.
Right. Well, his system. There's coaches that believe in their system. Mm-hmm. And to the point of I'm going to run my system no matter what the players can or cannot do. Now, he made some adjustments. He did well. He's a good defensive coach for the most part back when he was there. We did have the number one defense for quite a while. It was too much, and then he's been out too long, and he doesn't have the weapons in Dallas because half of them are hurt anyways. So, and they're old. Mike's done. Once they get fired from this gig, I bet he retires.
I don't know. That article that was in the Star Tribune earlier this off season, I don't know. He didn't really seem like he was ready to hang it up. He didn't seem like he wanted to even be a head coach maybe again.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. I could be wrong. He's got an ego. All of them do.
All right. Okay, let's see. Let's wrap this up here in a minute. Cause and effect. I'm assuming he's asking me if I'm going to the SKOL North watch party at Park Tavern. I was not planning on it, but it does sound fun. I love the guys at SKOL North, so that is definitely something that I would like to check out sometime soon. And Dan brought up that Cashman should be back, and that is going to make a huge difference, I think, as well.
Yes, it will.
All right, Dave. We have certainly missed him for sure. All right, you got anything else?
No, tomorrow, Wednesday, we have the NFC North Roundup show for Fans First Sports Network called Who Will Be King? And it's Vikings First and SKOL's turn to host, and that'll start shortly after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And we'll be talking about all 4 teams in the division, even though we have yet to get a Packers representative. We've had some guys that say they're willing, but they haven't showed up yet. Just like hopefully their team will the rest of the season not show up. And that is always fun. And then we have, of course, Tyler Fornes with a special guest tomorrow night as he looks ahead to the Jags game.
Do we know who the guest is? Oh, I didn't know if it was a secret.
Not off the top of my head.
Right. Okay.
I want to say Acosta.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to the NFC North show. I think though, if the Packers were in the Lions situation, I think you would have no problem finding a host. I think they're scared.
Well, when we started it last year, we did have a Packers host, but he got himself fired. So.
Oh, wow. Oh, I hope that's not me. That's not me next. But
no.
Okay, well, I will be back on Thursday,
Scottish
and I'm going to have
Bears are regular on the chat.
Hey, Scottish Bear. Goff is not good, or Goff loves the blitz. Yes, that's what I've figured out about him. So hopefully they will mix it up week 18. But I'll be back Thursday night. I'm going to have my girl Shelby Tweeten here. She was at the game at the tailgate last game. She was selling some of her custom clothes, Aries Archive. So she's going to talk about that and how she came up with the ideas for all of these things. And we're going to just look forward to the Jaguars game. So I'm excited to have Shelby on Thursday at 7 o'clock.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Me neither. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Skoldiers and Spice. I'm Sally. This is Dave, as you all know. And here we are signing off of Vikings First and SKOL. Everybody have a great night.
SKOL Vikings. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a big shout out goes to Sal and her guests on this Vikings First and SKOL production, partnered with the Fans First Sports Network. Thanks, everyone, and SKOL.